Hey, what's up guys, Riff here. So over the past couple of days, a lot of people have been talking about Black Myth Wukong, and I can report here that the game has officially sold over 10 million copies across all platforms and is already heading towards the 15 million mark. And while people are looking at the success of that game, there have been multiple bombs from games that were released over the past couple of days as well. Games that bombed and also had one thing in common. A lot of people identified those games as woke. Now, this is the latest game to flop. This is Concord, ladies and gentlemen. You can see right here, it's released on Steam. It was released on August 23rd, so 2 days ago. And apparently this game, this AAA game, has been in development for 8 years. Because apparently it takes 8 years to make these beautiful designs. These very brightly colored dollar store knockoffs of Overwatch characters here. But anyways, over July, the open beta was released to a very disappointing and alarming 1,100 player peak. That's over the entire open beta. Keep in mind, this is a AAA release with a $40 price tag coming for the official game. So the open beta getting a number like that was already very concerning. And now we fast forward to the 23rd and we got the official release. So how did it stack up? How did it perform? Dead on arrival. Yep, just like many other titles like Dustborn, this game was absolutely doomed because it pretty much represented everything gamers don't want, and the only thing that was propping it up was a lot of support from games journalists and alike, and that doesn't really count. You can see the numbers here, it is terrible. They didn't even reach a peak of 1,000 players. They didn't even reach an all-time peak of 700 players. They tapped out at a measly 660 all-time peak players. That is really bad, and you can see those numbers have already dwindled. The average player amount is already gone in about half, and we're only 2 days into the official release of this game. Just to give you an idea, a side-by-side comparison, this is the numbers for Black Myth Wukong versus Concord. You can see this is an absolute bloodbath, and keep in mind, these are both AAA releases, and actually Black Myth Wukong was developed in 2 fewer years than Concord. Now, compare some of these numbers to other games on Steam that have been out for a very long time. Right now, despite being out for many years, there are games like the original Portal, Half-Life, Left 4 Dead, that have a higher 24-hour peak mark, the last 24 hours, than Concord does on the first 2 days of its release. That is really bad. And really, there's no justifying this. This game has been a major flop. Something had 8 years of development and tons of money put into this game, and it's just dead on arrival. However, it already seems like some people are coping and seething about this result, including a former Concord developer who is lashing out at people who are critical of this game and its underperformance. And you can see this is the individual named Free Gunner M. They are a gameplay animator at PUBG Studios currently, and they previously worked on Concord. Now, a lot of people are trying to defend and basically say this person had nothing to do with Concord, but they say it right in their bio that they at least had some contribution to Concord, and they also said this in a tweet from a couple days ago on release. It said, "It's Concord release day, so insanely proud of the team and what they, and we, have accomplished. A labor of love like nothing else. Been playing it so much since early access started a few days ago, and I'm so excited for it to be available to everyone. And I'm so honored to have had this be my first AAA game. It was a huge learning experience, lots of struggles, but I'm glad to have gone through them. Time to go play." And someone in the replies said this, "I'm so sorry this had to be your first. I do not believe it is you or any of the other devs' faults that this game has performed so poorly. I can tell that a lot of effort was put into completing this game. It just came at the wrong time and genre." Where this former member of the Concord team says this, I don't really care. It was a huge labor from a lot of insanely talented people making an awesome game. Why would I care about a bunch of talentless freaks hating on it? I'm sure having fun playing it, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. So that's obviously a really bad look. This is a terrible PR move. I'm sure Concord is really thanking this individual for making things even worse. So basically, this person is saying if you are critical of Concord, you don't want to play Concord, or you're in any way challenging the narrative, you are a talentless freak. This is a terrible look for this individual, the studio they're currently working for, and also Concord, because it's the game we're all talking about here. Well, they would go on to receive a lot of criticism as a result of those comments, where they started replying or hiding any replies that were critical of what they said, and then they would reply saying, "Pay me $8 to unhide your tweet," saying this multiple times over and over again, which clearly shows this individual is on some hard times right now. But anyways, there's a lot more coming out about the team over at Concord. In a That Park Place article, you can see that it was reported the lead character designer made some claims back in 2020, calling the entire judicial system in the United States the product of white supremacy. And when you see all these things coming together, especially with the lead character designer, these designs start to really make sense, don't they? But anyways, when a game like this is failing, one that has been propped up by games journalists very hard over the past couple of months, what happens? Well, they continue to swoop in and try to save this game that they've been putting their name on and trying to prop up. You can see all different types of games journalists are doing various promotions of this game. They're also streaming it themselves. They're playing it. And honestly, I can't think of a fate worse than that. They're basically being forced to do this, I feel like, in some capacity. And on top of that, I think there's a legitimate claim to be made here where the number of overall players, the active players right now, is dwindling around 200. And there are countless journalists talking about playing this game and streaming it. I think there's a legitimate claim to think this whole thing is very astroturfed. As bad as the numbers are right now, they're probably a bit inflated from all of the journalists playing this. That is how bad things are for this game, and also how favored this game is with games journalists and how much they're trying to prop it up. Now we're going to turn our attention to Jade Arena, who is the community lead at IGN. They had something to say about this game and some criticism surrounding it, where they said, "Man, hashtag Concord really is scratching that MP shooter itch I've had for a while. Everything is designed immaculately, and each design choice feels deliberate, from character kits to map layouts. If you are looking for a new shooter that values you squatting up or running solo, this is it." Where this user says, "It's not too late to delete this," where she replies saying, "Not too late to become a decent human being." That's right, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't want to play Concord, you are a bad person. That is the standard these journalists are going with. That's how crazy things have gotten. However, I guess they would sort of take this user's advice. They wouldn't delete this part, but they would delete this reply that was getting absolutely destroyed. And you can see it's deleted there. And then they would turn their attention back hours later to continuing to promote this game. And honestly, at this point, just let it go. Okay, this game is a failure. And no support from games journalists right now is going to change that. It is completely dead on arrival. Just give it up. However, more people are coming up with excuses and even borderline conspiracy theories. You have this individual from Forbes saying this: "I knew this wouldn't go well, but this is legitimately weird. Suicide Squad launched with 20 times as many players," where this user says, "I'm actually wondering if there's something else going on." Where they reply saying the timing is weird too, like it peaked early afternoon and didn't even add a couple hundred players after work and school in America. I don't get it. And then there's more added on here with this quote saying, "It's been 2 more hours and it still hasn't. I'm genuinely wondering if something is glitching. It's the 70th something most sold game on Steam," which isn't good, but like, you would have to imagine there would be more than this. No, you really don't. But anyways, a lot of the game journalists at this point, they're kind of confused as to what to do with this entire story. You can see right here with The Gamer, at one point, right around release, saying, "Let's give Concord a chance." And then 3 hours later saying, "Concord has yet to crack 1,000 players on Steam. Yikes." So they don't really know what to do with the failure of this game. They've been propping it up so much. Some are now saying, "Oh, well, this is bad. We have to report on how bad it is." And some are choosing to cope and continue to prop up this game. However, there's another controversy going on, one of so many at this point, where it's been reported that Concord removed LGBTQ+ and political tags from the Steam page, potentially to reach more buyers. Now, this screenshot's been going around, and I will zoom in. You can see the LGBTQ+ tag and also the political tag. And from my own screenshot here, you can see that there's still politics in the tags, but the LGBTQ+ has been removed. And whether that was the result of the dev team or not is something people are debating, but you can see clearly that this set of tags were removed. And also, if you go to the basic tag rules, you can see that the publishers, the developers, they have a lot of weight when they add a tag personally, and users can define tags too, but they hold less weight than that of the creators. And regardless, it's typically the top 5 tags, which were including these ones that have been removed, they hold a lot of weight with the developers, and the developers can remove tags they don't want. So at the very least, these tags were removed by the development team, and on top of that, even if they didn't, it was the result of users playing the game, and that's what they wanted to see as one of the tags. But now, like I said, it's been removed. It's kind of a confusing situation, but again, just another thing to add to this whole situation. And on top of that, looking back at everything and how quickly this game was completely fried, you can see some crazy quotes here from the team. So, reported by That Park Place, Concord lead character designer that we mentioned earlier claims developers are strapped in and ready to push it for years to come. This is a real quote from their team. They genuinely believe that they have years that'll be stemming off of the success of this game. It didn't even last 3 days. This game is a complete flop, and everyone knows it, but yeah, it's not surprising with the approach they made to this game, how it looks, how they advertised it, how it was promoted by games journalists. It rubbed people the wrong way. And again, we have another example of a game doing this and failing instantly, just like Dustborn the other day. And maybe this is a step in the right direction, and maybe, just maybe, these developers will start to realize what's going on here and what gamers actually want and what they value and what they will spend their money on. Because clearly, it's not this. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys next time.